Welcome back, everyone. Hope you enjoyed your short break. As I said, we're now joined by one of our lead sponsors, Auto Trader, and the guys here are going to be talking to you more about design. So I'm going to hand straight over to them.
Perfect. Thank you, Becky. So thank you all for joining today. I'm just going to show my screen. So our presentation today, we're going to go through a bit of a mini design sprint with you all. So I hope you've all got some pen and paper. So we are Auto Trader, and we're going to go through a bit of about what is design, how to become a designer, and just some design tasks with you today. So just get these slides working. So what is design? So design at Auto Trader currently within our core design team, and these are the people who help design all of the experiences for our website. It's currently made up of about 18 people. And we influence the largest automotive marketplace in the UK currently. So our designs are seen by an average 55 million consumers a month, which is a very large amount. And our design team is currently made up of a mixture of different types of designers and researchers. So we've got product designers, so these people look at the bigger picture and design things with users in mind. So that sort of includes a bit of UX design as well. And we've got content designers, so they make sure that the terminology and the placement of information makes sense for our users. Then we've got user researchers, so user researchers make sure what we design works and meets the user needs. And then we've also got visual designers, so they develop a brand that is strong and identifiable. So who are we? So we'll probably each introduce ourselves. So I'm Natalie. I'm a senior user researcher at Auto Trader, and I sort of lead the research for one side of the business. And I'll pass over to Newman now.
Hi, I'm Newman. I'm also a user researcher, and I focus on the trade side of things. So people who are selling cars, car dealers, trying to work out what it is that they want and need us to give them and how well we're doing it. I'm Tracy.
Hi, I'm Tracy Smith. I work with Newman on the trade side of the business. I'm a principal product designer, and I look after everything that sits under the umbrella term of advertising. So this is helping retailers to advertise the vehicles and also the consumers. So that's the name that we give people buying cars, but they're also selling cars, and I look after that selling piece as well.
Perfect. So I'm going to hand over to Newman now, and he's going to run through the first few exercises that we've got for you today.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. So these are some very quick, rapid exercises I'm going to start you off with, right? And the point here is, sorry, the slides have disappeared. There we go. We're all designers, right? And this is what I'm going to set out to prove, because design is thinking, right? It's problem solving made visual, right? So you're going to need your pen, your pieces of paper to start off with here. So the first thing we're going to do, right, is just take a piece of paper, and all I want you to do, and make sure it's a piece of paper by itself, not in a book or anything, and just tear it in half. Okay, that should be enough time to tear a piece of paper in half. I'm going to do the same as well. And I'm guessing you did it differently to me, right? So I want you to tear it lengthways. If anybody did it exactly like I wanted to, just let me know in the chat. You've gone against what the point of this little exercise is. The point is here is that words are fickle things and very open to interpretation, right? So what I say isn't necessarily what you do, and that's what you'll find everywhere when you're communicating. And that's why we like to think visually and draw pictures, right? So another quick little exercise. You've got 1 minute, right? And I'm going to set a timer. And in that 1 minute, all I want you to do is draw a bunch of little circles and little pictures within those circles. I've given you 2 to start off with, right? Now just do as many as you can on
And
a
they've got to be different pictures inside the circles, don't they, Newman?
Yes, they do have to be different pictures in each circle, not the same ones. Right, you have 1 minute, starting now. I'll do a little bit of countdowning at milestone moments. But keep drawing. Little circles, little pictures. "30 seconds down. "15 seconds left. Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. Right, out of time. Oops, you heard my timer. Right, how many pictures did we manage to draw? Let me know. Type away in the chat. If you've got 12, 13, you've done well. But the point here is that 4, you see that? So when we were young, when we were kids, 10, 7, we've got 10, 7, 8, so much lower than that 12 number I gave you. So when we were kids, right, you could draw all day. Your imagination runs wild, and you could have just drawn and drawn and drawn, and the numbers you get would have been huge, right? And when we do this exercise with people who are not used to drawing, so people who are working finance, for example, they get much lower numbers than sort of a lot of other people. And the thing is that we grow older. We start critiquing ourselves. We start thinking about what it is we want to draw rather than just drawing things. And that freedom of expression and that imagination we had as kids, it's sort of almost trained out of us. And that's why if you do 12, you've done really, really well here. But the point is you can draw. Just go back to that old child mindset that we used to have, right? And to, again, prove the point and just draw the point home, we're going to do a little childish drawing. So another piece of paper, pen, paper, once you just draw a big squiggle on it, right? And on the squiggle, just put a beak on it. A beak. There we go. And behind that beak, draw in a circle, and that's your eye. Put some little bird feet underneath it. And just to top it off, a big triangle on the other end for a tail. Right, congratulations, you've got a squiggly bird, right? We can all draw. Tracy.
Hey, so, right, I'm going to do a little bit of a design exercise. But first, we're just going to mention a couple of terminology words that we use in product design. The first being personas. So personas help us understand the users that are going to use the systems that we're designing for. It just helps us kind of bring those users to life and gives them kind of just so we kind of really understand them. And then we'll talk a little bit about user interfaces as well. So this is something that we interact with as human beings, and they're absolutely everywhere, interfaces. We use our mobile phones, and there are even things like television remote controls as well. So what we're going to get you to do is think about designing the front of a microwave. So when we're thinking about designing the front of a microwave, you must include a door, a button to open that door, a timer, so 0 to 60 minutes, a power setting, so when we think about like high power and defrost options, and also other controls you think are important. So we're going to put 5 minutes on this and just spend a bit of time thinking about that microwave and what functionality you would like on that. So crack on 5 minutes, and I'll set a timer like Newman did, which I didn't think about. But,
yeah. And if anybody has any questions, feel free to ask them, and we'll have a look in the chat area.
Yeah, so 5 minutes. So we've got a minute left. So that's time up. So what we're going to do is we're going to ask ourselves some questions. It's a good idea. It will help if you write down the answers to these questions. So where did you put the door? And where did you put the controls? And why did you design it this way? So if you can write down why you designed your microwave the way that you did, this will help us a little bit later on. So some more questions that we can ask ourselves is there easy movement between the door and the controls? We may look at options of thinking about where the hinges are and whereabouts that door is going to open, and how users are going to manoeuvre around it. So, for example, if the door is going to open onto the opposite side to where the controls are, it might be quite difficult to use. Where would you put the button to open that door? Should it be at the top, or potentially should it be lower down at the bottom? We can also introduce things like, is this somebody who's actually got two hands who's using this machine, so they can actually, might be able to work their way around it a little bit easier than perhaps somebody who only has one hand, or limited function skills. We can look at, the timer. Where would somebody enter those numbers? Did we do it in seconds or minutes? What now? So how would you enter? What about a power button? And then thinking about like the power and the timer. So when you've asked yourself all these different questions, did we cover what we think what all those requirements were up front? So it must include a door, a button to open that door, a timer, and a power setting. But there may be some questions there that we didn't answer with our design. So, or maybe we did, but they weren't in those initial requirements. So how would we start? How would you actually start? How would you stop? Or is there a start-stop? So when we think about design, your design will never be right first time round. And it's always, and that's absolutely fine. So at Auto Trader, everything we design goes through various rounds of testing, so that we know that the idea turns out to be as great as it won't turn out as great as you first thought. But the important thing is failing fast, learning from your mistakes, and trying to put those things right. So we'll hand over to Matt now. We'll talk a bit more about that testing.
Perfect, thanks Tracy. Yeah, so like Tracy said, within our design teams, we live by the rule that it's okay to fail fast as long as you do learn from those mistakes. And testing is a big part of that. Myself and Newman obviously introduced ourselves as user researchers, and what we're about to talk through next is a big part of what we do day to day. So what we want you to do is test your microwaves. So we're going to give you a task. So you need to cook a frozen microwave lasagna. It needs to be defrosted for 4 minutes and cooked on a medium heat for 5.5 minutes. And what we want you to do is just to use your finger and imagine that you're using your microwave to cook this frozen lasagna. So we're going to give you 5 minutes to test your microwave and see how it goes. And what we want you to do, obviously 5 minutes is quite a long time to do that, but we just want you to make some notes, and that might be something that you noticed doesn't work and you might need to make a change to your microwave. So just jot anything down, or if you think that something could be done better or you could make an improvement to your design, just do that as well. But yeah, like I said, just to use your finger and imagine that you're using your microwave to cook this frozen lasagna. And I'm going to start a 5-minute timer now. And just like we've said previously, if you do have any questions, do feel free to ask them in the chat section, and we'll all get back to you in there. So that's 5 minutes starting now. So about halfway through now, so we've got 2.5 minutes left. So we've got just about a minute left now, so this is a time where you should be making any notes of anything you'd like to change or anything that you think was missing from your design. Okay, perfect. So time's up. So congratulations to everybody who took part. She just did a paper prototype test. So the results are in. So we'd love to know how it went. So please do feel free to use the chat area and just let us know if you want to make any changes, or if you found out that you did have something missing, or if you had everything that was needed. Please write that down as well. But these are all the questions that we would be asking ourselves after we tested one of our designs. So did it have all of the options needed for the user to complete the task? So I've obviously already asked you to write down if you want any changes. Now you've tested it, but remember that it is okay to fail, because that's how we learn. So that's the main reason why, even at Autotrader, we're a big technology company, but when we look to create new things, we would always still start off with that paper level, where we're jotting down ideas and we're doing things on paper before we invest all of that time in developing something. Because a lot of the time, you can think that you've got the best idea in the world, but then when you test something, it doesn't always work. So by testing it just as a sketch on paper, it means that we're saving all of that development time and building something that doesn't necessarily work. So we've got a few comments here. So put the defrost function on my heat settings dial to improve efficiency and a sleek modern design. And then Natasha said that she needs to add a few more microwave options. So I think that all makes sense. I think a lot of the time, obviously, we're asking you to build a microwave and you might not be able to see one. So that can be quite sort of difficult to do. So we mentioned earlier, Tracy spoke about personas. And how a lot of the times we have to think about who we're designing for to make sure that the product works for them. So we want you to think about the people whose lives your design might touch. And what works for you as a user might not work for the average person who's going to be using your product. So what we're going to ask you to do now is thinking about a specific persona. So thinking about your design for this type of user. So the microwave is to be sold to retirement homes. 80% of the users will use full power 70% of the time, and they'll want to defrost all of their food 30% of the time. only around 2% of these people will cook for more than 30 minutes. The average cooking time is around 4 minutes, and around 60% of these users will have bad eyesight. Obviously, as it's a retirement home, you might also get some users who have low mobility, which might mean that any sort of spinning dials they might not be able to use. And also with bad eyesight, it might mean that smaller buttons they might not be able to read as well. So now we want to think about sort of using your microwave for this user. And we want you to think about, does your design still work for this new type of user that's going to be using your microwave? And if not, we want you to make some changes to make sure that they can use your microwave. So again, probably take about 2 or 3 minutes this time, and just have a think about all of these sections here that we've outlined, and think about your design, and just list down if you want to make any changes for this audience to make sure that they can use your microwave. So I'm going to put a timer on just for 2 minutes for this one, just to allow you to make some notes, and then we'll carry on. But again, if you want to write any of them down in the chat area as well, do feel free to do that. Okay, perfect. So hopefully you've all sort of outlined if you want to make any changes for this one now. And now I'm just going to go through a few sort of simple things that we can do just to make sure that our designs work for everybody. So the best thing is to do is just to keep it simple. Keeping it simple can be the hardest part of design, because obviously, like Newman said earlier, sometimes our imagination can run off of us, and we do like to make these really cool, gimmicky things. But a lot of the time we do have to sort of scale back and think about our target audience and, you know, does that work for them? So what we're actually going to do is open up a bit of a competition to you all. So if you'd like to win one of our prizes, we'd love it if you would send us your designs. So what we would like to see is your designs and all of your notes or any of the changes that you want to make to your designs. So your teachers or tutors will receive the details after today's session. So make sure to ask them for a chance to win one of our prizes. So the prizes that we have up for grabs are a £20 Amazon voucher, and also the opportunity to join the Autotrader design team for a day for some work experience. So obviously that will probably be done remotely for now, as we can't come into the office. But if you would like to join the Autotrader design team for a day, then do make sure that you reach out to your tutor after today's session to get all of the details, and hopefully you should hear back in the new year whether you've won one of our prizes. So thank you all for taking part. If anybody has any questions now at the end, we've got a bit of time just to go over any of them. But yeah, thank you all for joining us today.
Thanks, guys. That was absolutely brilliant. Does anyone have any questions for the team? We've still got a few more minutes yet before we have a lunch break. So if anyone does have any questions, if you just want to pop them in the stage chat, and we can make sure we get those answered for you. As the guys have just said, we'll email through the information about kind of the competition and the challenge, and what you need to do and how you can get involved. But would really encourage you that, you know, I can see there's quite a number of you have taken part in this today and popped your comments in. So if you are interested, then definitely over the next couple of weeks or over the Christmas holiday, see if you can get involved in this challenge and get those entries over to us, and hopefully you'll be able possibly be one of the winners. So we've not actually had any questions in the chat. So I'm probably thinking everyone's ready for the lunch break. That's fine. So, I just want to say a huge thank you to you all, Tracy, Natalie and Newman from Auto Trader. As I said, Auto Trader are one of our sponsors, and I know you guys really support all the work we do. So thank you for that, and thank you for today's session. For everyone watching, we've got a short break now. So we've got, well, it's going to be a 45-minute lunch break, which you'll all be pleased to know. So you can kind of put down your computers, go and get some lunch. And then if you make sure that you're back here for 12:30, and at 12:30 we're going to be doing a Find Your Future panel. So we'll be talking to some people about the different pathways into a digital and tech career. So it doesn't just have to be going to university, it doesn't have to be studying to be a developer. There's loads of different routes in there, so we'll be talking a little bit about that at 12:30. But otherwise, that's it for us, and we'll see you after lunchtime. Thanks everyone.
Bye.
Thanks for listening. Bye.